It's like they're sensing that our defenses are down, so they see it as a perfect time to attack. Just look at the news recently. China records 3,278 C-19 related deaths between January 27th and February 2nd. That's about double that of the United States. Now, what's really scary though is while China's opening up their C-19 restrictions and starting to see a rally in Chinese stocks, the US government is all the while planning to stop buying C-19 shots for the public. Yep, that's happening sometime this fall. Let's take a look at what that means for us exactly, whether you're uninsured or you're on Medicare. Oh, and did you guys hear about this new technology that they talked about in the World Economic Forum? Apparently, these tech entrepreneurs, they're working on ways to spy on things and monitor your ideas, your feelings, your hopes, your dreams. They're all up in your head. It's definitely sounding like that book 1984, if you guys heard of that one. Big Brother and all of that. What do you guys think? Do you want these tech companies and eventually the government living inside your brain with an all-access pass of your every thought and whim? It's starting to sound like Minority Report. Anyway, drop a quick comment, yes or no, down below. Also, if you own a home, make sure your home is protected. Get your free home warranty quote. There's a link in the description down below this video. It only takes like 15 seconds. You'll be glad you did. Market guys, 3,278. That's how many C-19 deaths in 1 month's time. And that's only the ones that they officially reported, probably not counting those that stayed at home and others that they discouraged from marking it as C-19. Yeah, doctors there are actually discouraged from attributing deaths to C-19. Kind of the opposite of what's happening here. Now, this comes at the same time that China suddenly ended their strict zero C-19 policy on December 7th after 3 years and basically started a massive surge of infections across the world's most populous country. It's as if they're breeding a new pandemic with all the infections that they're spreading. What do you guys think? But here's something really, really interesting. While all of these infections are happening all over their country, Chinese stocks have actually gone up. It says here, optimism on Chinese stocks soars to 5-year highs. So just about the time when the pandemic was starting out. Yeah, anyway, all this cash flow and passive income is coming from active foreign funds managers who put $1.39 billion into mainland Chinese stocks. Active funds inflows from Hong Kong stocks, they were even greater during that time at $2.16 billion. Now, according to an industry insider, quote, active managers have never been this positive toward Chinese stock markets in the past 5 years. In the very short term, they should be expecting more inflows from the active managers, end quote. So what do you think, guys? Is it time to put more money into these Chinese stocks in the stock market? Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd be too sure about that. It's honestly still up in the air, especially since Chinese stock market gains might not run very much further if U.S. active investors who have sat out of the rally and local investors don't necessarily buy in. In fact, what they call these extreme inflows of the past 3 months threaten whether the market rally can continue for the next 3 months. Experts advise, quote, we believe in the short term investors need to be more selective when picking Chinese exposure, end quote. And let's not forget the Chinese government crackdown on tech and real estate, including the suspension of billionaire Jack Ma's IPO. They even hit him with this huge fine for capitalizing on his market monopoly. In other words, China may not be the best place to do business if you're talking about keeping your money printing machine going. So yeah, going back to that whole C-19 talk, this new pandemic wave in China may be ill timing, especially with news like New York dropping their C-19 vaccine mandate and the government planning to stop buying vaccines for the public. Now, whether you're for the vaccine or you're not, I'm not here to debate that. But first, the New York C-19 vaccine mandate for the city workers. So Mayor Eric Adams just announced that they're going to be ending it after a vote by the city's Department of Health. Eric Adams said 96% of the city workforce, including the fire department, police department, the Department of Education, has received both shots, so the mandate for current and prospective employees served its purpose. What purpose was that? Those mandates were pretty harsh. If you weren't granted a religious or medical exemption, you were placed on unpaid leave and some were later terminated. Anyone watching this video right now know someone who went through this? Drop a quick comment down below. Now, the health department said 1,780 city employees were fired for not complying with the mandate. The sheep were unwilling to just bow down and comply. Fast forward to now, the agency said that those former employees won't automatically return to their previous positions, but will be able to apply for positions with their former agencies through existing city rules and regulations and hiring processes. Wow, the way that these people operate is just unreal. Then there's the bigger news of the government planning to stop buying C-19 shots this fall. According to this, they're going to be shifting the vaccine distribution to the private market as soon as early fall, shifting the cost to the U.S. insurers and uninsured Americans who stand to lose access to those free vaccines for those who want them. So for the past 2 years, the United States has bought the vaccines directly from Pfizer and Moderna at an average price of about $21 per dose. Basically, the federal government was funding the back pockets of Pfizer and Moderna. Yeah, but already, big pharma executives are foaming at the mouth with the news. Moderna CEO Stephanie Bancel said last month that the company is preparing to sell the vaccines on the private market as early as this fall. Pfizer CEO Albert Bourla, he told investors during the company's earnings call that he is preparing for the vaccines to go commercial in the second half of the year. And here's the 1-2 punch. Pfizer and Moderna have said that they are considering hiking the price of the vaccines to, get this, somewhere around $110 to $130 per dose once the United States government pulls out of the vaccine program. Wow, talk about some gouging, right? Now, if you're uninsured, then you might be faced with the full cost. Now, I think it's interesting that they're going from, $21 a shot when the government was paying for it to, $110, $130. I thought it was all about helping the people. How is this helping the people if you're going to jack up the prices? Anyway, I digress. They definitely got an earful from Senator Bernie Sanders, though, tell you that much. Sanders, who chairs the Senate Health Committee, he said that the price hike would cost taxpayers billions via the impact on Medicare and Medicare's budgets. But here's the official line from Bernie Sanders. Quote, perhaps most significantly, the quadrupling of prices will make the vaccine unavailable for millions of uninsured, underinsured Americans who will not be able to afford it. How many of these Americans will die from C-19 as a result of limited access to those life-saving miracle drugs? Okay, he didn't say the miracle drug part, but anyway, you're also probably going to see your health insurance premiums increase if Pfizer and Moderna is hiking up the prices of these shots. Oh, and then of course there's Paxlovid. Some patients, depending upon their insurance policy, will also probably have to pay for Pfizer's antiviral pill called Paxlovid in the future. See, the ACA does not require insurance to cover treatments, and Pfizer expects to start selling Paxlovid through their private market at commercial prices sometime in the second half of 2023. Pfizer has not announced how much this antiviral pill will cost once it does go commercial. Federal government's currently paying about $530 for a 5-day treatment course. Now, with the way that they price their drugs, I wouldn't be surprised if they retail it at like $1,000. Speaking of scary corporations, we need to be talking about what they've been cooking up in Davos with tech that allows your thoughts to be monitored. Here, check this one out.
We're not yet at the point where what all of you are thinking right now is something that, like a little thought bubble above your head, is something we can see, but we're getting there. Which means that the NSA and other organizations can spy not just on your email and your cell phones, but soon potentially on your brains as well.
Like my friends keep saying, there is hardly anything more stupid and dangerous than putting important decisions in the hands of people who don't have to pay a price for being wrong. And nothing could be a better example than this mind-reading technology from the World Economic Forum. I mean, just imagine a world of total transparency where every thought you think is visible to everyone else. And I'm willing to bet that those billionaires and members of the World Economic Forum will not be subscribing to this technology. Why would they want their thoughts available to be seen from everyone else, right? Affordable devices that can measure and interpret electrical signals from brains can already detect things like whether you're drowsy when you're driving. Now, there is definitely some promise for health and getting to know yourself a little bit better, but the ethical and the legal drawbacks, that is definitely something to scoff at here. This nightmare of healthy people subjecting themselves to this is something many of us will see within our lifetimes. At least that's what the professor predicted from the WEF stage. I mean, it's not just me, right? The potential for abuse is just plain obvious. But get this, guys, the professor also revealed that some form of brain activity tracking is already very much so happening in your workplace. To be precise, more than 5,000 companies around the world at this point are monitoring their employees' brains for fatigue levels. Needless to say, this is happening in China, among other places. And obviously, many others share the same values when it comes to this type of surveillance. It's time to take your freedoms back, people. And more importantly, it's time to make sure they don't get taken away from you. And they got these things on everything, hats. Some truckers apparently already wear them so that their bosses know how alert they are. Headbands, earbuds, headphones. The tech and its sensors can be embedded in tattoos behind people's ears. Currently, this is what they can get from your brain, or at least what they're telling us. Who knows what else is there? Emotional states, faces one sees in one's mind, simple shapes and numbers, including somebody's PIN number, meaning access to that person's bank account. Tech giants like Facebook Meta are already looking at this as the next generation. Employers are also looking at the possibilities, not only of knowing what a worker's mind is paying attention to, but also intervening to get their mind back on track. Just like prodding cattle then. Seriously, guys, you can't make this stuff up. You know, guys, I rarely comment about these things, but this gave me the chills. This feeling of being watched in the near future. Around the clock is as close to Big Brother as you can get. The character eventually gave up. Is this what we'll end up doing? This is really scary, almost panic-inducing. But you know what? What if they required this to be done to all members of Congress and the data publicly live streamed? Now that's definitely something worth exploring. What do you guys say to that? Anyway, more on this and other breaking news in our next updates. Let me know what you guys are interested in and if you want to learn more about some interesting stock opportunities and side hustle ideas. Comment section's wide open, you guys. Yep, definitely more to look forward to in my coming updates. But that's it for today's pandemic update and world news report. The Chinese C-19 wave that could breed the next variant of this pandemic, the Chinese stock market starting the rally, and the World Economic Forum technology that could monitor your thoughts and your desires. As always, guys, a big thanks for always tuning in, and even bigger thanks for lighting up the like button. Make sure you do not miss the next one. Please be kind to one another, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Be safe.